Weasel. We are an alternative rock independent band here out of Bloomington, Indiana. We take a lot of, love from like 60s garage rock and some 70s kind of southern rock country stuff. My name's Luke. I play bass and lead vocal.
Hi, I'm Dominic. I play rhythm guitar and some lead guitar.
I'm the lucky duck of the group. I get to play with the Weasels on trumpet.
I'm Hazel and I play drums.
I'm Roscoe and I play guitar.
I'm Lydia and I sing backup vocals. I play the egg shaker and sometimes the train whistle.
Doing a project like this is how it kind of started. Luke and I were in a class, experiments with a film camera, and we met each other through that. He pitched this project, a 16mm color film music video, and I was like, sounds groovy, man, count me in. And we got approved for it. And then we were talking and we were like, hey man, we both play music, like maybe someday we should do something. And then I think out of the blue, you called me and you were like, let's meet up. I have a prospect for a band.
We shot that film down here in this basement because Dom used to live here before I did. And you had all your music stuff set up. I think we jammed at one point with somebody. And I think that was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Original Sound Weasel ended.
Yeah.
You had attended the final show.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, bittersweet. And I was like, no, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
For me personally, I got really interested in music in high school when I took a 1960s history class. But like falling really in love with the Beatles kind of got me into music. My senior year of high school, I was like, oh, all I want to do is just play bass like Paul McCartney. Just be just like him, man. And then freshman year of college, the next year, I got a bass and started learning.
For me, it was just in my blood. I was just surrounded by it all the time. My aunts, my uncles, everybody played music. My grandmother learned how to play piano at like 60, just because she sang all the time and just wanted to be able to accompany herself. So it was bound to happen.
We kind of operate in two very solid ways. Either I will come with a song and it's done, and I say, hey, here it is, and it's written out, and then we learn it. This is Dom's song. Now let's learn it and play it and like make it our own off of like just a basic acoustic or guitar track or whatever. Yeah. Or
we're like, hey, I've got 2 chords and a vocal melody. Let's see if we can take this
or
somewhere.
Even just 2 chords. Can you come up with a vocal melody to this?
Yeah.
And a lot of our great stuff, it is created here in this room, just like from nothing.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it. I mean, that's what Bob Dylan says about, it's all right, Mom, I'm only bleeding. He said, I didn't write that song. I was the channel for it to come into the earth. But that was just floating around. Someone else would have written it. I just happened to be the one with paper and pen at the time. He said, I don't remember writing it. I don't remember doing anything. It just came through me. It's a blessing.
For me, like personally, creativity was kind of a weird, like seasonal thing. Before I really was in this band, like 6 months out of the year, I was insane and I felt crazy. And like I was just like busting out so many different pieces and parts of songs, and every once in a while they'd stick and I'd have a song. And maybe like in that 6 month period, I'd write 5 or 6 like good songs. And then I'd have 100 pieces of just nothing. And now that like I'm in this band that rehearses so much and there's so many different people in it that bring so much to it, I feel like I am not as creative as I was in those high times, but I'm constantly a really nice baseline creative.
More consistently.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, I'll get that one day and I write a full song, and that's what happens where like we bring just a little bit or what you doing. When I first started making music like on my own 4 or 5 years ago, I had so much coming into my brain at one time, like so many different influences coming in to where like the first record I put out on my own was just like so wild and had so much going on. And part of me is like mad at myself that I don't have that like aloofness anymore. I don't have that ability just to crank out something that's just like so wild and different. But at the same time now I feel like I've gotten older and I'm more practiced and I know kind of where I'm at. Like the product is better and it's more refined. There's more of a cohesiveness to it.
I always said you have to become your influence to overcome them.
Yeah.
So I spent a couple years thinking of like trying to be Bob Dylan, and now like I'm beyond that. I'm a better artist for that. the idea of like, yeah, I miss like, oh, doing all these wild different things, but it's also like you are mastering your own craft.
Yeah.
So with that, it's kind of honing in on what you do and who you are as an artist.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at now.
Just last spring, I wrote like 3 or 4 songs I'm really proud of. And now I'm kind of on a lull again. But I know it'll come back. It's just ebbs and flows, you know, that's all.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. The dichotomy of myself as a songwriter is I love poetry. I used to read a lot of poetry, especially when I was younger, and I had more time to actually like read leisurely. I understand how silly lyrics sound if they're not sung. For instance, like just to quote The Doors, if you hear the scream of the butterfly, it's very near, but very soft, but very far. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard. That makes no sense.
Bullshit.
Yeah. In the song, when it's sung with a backing group, it delivers, it hits, it makes sense. So what I love about it is the kind of the ambiguity of poetry. There are many ways that something can be interpreted. For instance, I'm writing a song about, I had a really blue Sunday. I was really bummed. I'm writing a song about that. To someone else, they can interpret that entirely differently. That might be about their relationship. That might be their understanding of the economy and the world at large. Who knows, you know? And I love the multifaceted interpretation of songwriting. That to me is what is exciting, because you start to form your own opinions and your own thoughts around that, and your own association that draws you into that song. And that's where the beauty lies. Talking about the idea of creativity, I'm blessed with, like, my job is I teach art. I'm constantly being pushed to learn new things, and I have students that we learn the basics of a software, and they're like, oh, I want to take this further. And I love that concept, and I always bring that here of like, hey, this is really cool, but how can we push this further? What can we do more to like kind of really make it out there?
So like right now, we're working on a song that like you, me, and Lydia are writing together, to where I think it started with me doing a bass line, just like messing around.
Olivia just kind of humming over it.
Yeah, and then me and Lydia started making up words to it, and then Roscoe joined in, and then the other night, me, you, and Lydia were coming up with like a bridge for it. It's amazing like what even like one vocalist can add. Like Lydia adds so much soul to our songs, which before would be just straight rock and roll, but now it feels
it makes
like
it groovier,
soul.
definitely, yeah. Called It Free is one that we're working on at the moment. It's got just the catchiest vocal melody, and it's just because Roscoe showed up and he was like, hey man, I've got 2 chords, and it's kind of humming an idea of the melody maybe, and then Luke and Lydia just went nuts with it, and from there we wrote a proper structure, jumping into a chorus, building on the dynamics, and it's so catchy. I love when like we're working together, all of a sudden the light bulb clicks, and we just all of a sudden, oh, this is the way it should go. And like we just start to really get into it and kind of hone in on like, okay, what if we tried this? Like the excitement of building something together is really just that's what gets me jazzed, man.
You know, you might be sitting there live and like, oh, I don't know if anyone can hear me right now. But like, you very much are a part of the puzzle that is important. To where beforehand, it doesn't feel like that. If someone's missing that day of rehearsal, it's not
a drag. Yeah. I like the idea of coming with a song and just being like, there's no definitive version.
Yeah.
Just make it up. Let's figure it out. And like, if we need to change anything, please, by all means. You know?
Even from like the smallest piece of it, to where what you're doing was great, it was like, oh, what's it missing? Ken, who was our trumpet player, picked up the tambourine. He's not playing anything on that song. He was sitting it out.
It's so good.
Picked up the tambourine, and all of a sudden it has some sort of new life to it.
I love when someone does something like out of the normal. Oftentimes it's just Lydia, the way she's just belting out of just like jaw dropping. I love watching people in the audience just like lose their mind, shake their head whenever she's singing, just like that kind of holy reverence of like, wow, I can't believe what I'm singing right now.
I've even been criticized before by friends or family or partners like, is that song about me? Or is that song about this thing? I'm like, no. It's not, it's much simpler. I found these words that fit together, and I recognize that they meant something, and I used my prior experiences, and I used my understanding of the world, and I made up something completely. I feel like most of my songs are just made up and they don't mean anything. But then a year later I go, oh, shoot. That might have meant something, actually.
Well, and I mean, I guess that's the longevity of a song, is like, make something so nice is that I loved this when I was 22. It meant more to me when I was 26. And now when I'm 30, oh, it makes me weep. I guess that is the definition of a timeless song. But like, the fact that it can continue to grow and have that ever-evolving impact that's the beauty of it right there.
I think the moment that it clicked, we had some new folks in the band, and we had started on a new song, long time coming, and I feel like that was kind of the catalyst. And we were like, okay, this is coming together.
Like, all of a sudden we were like, oh, this is it.
It wasn't even like, oh, it's a song. It was the way that it came together that we kind of knew that there was something special about that lineup that we now have. Personally, I could not have done Long Time Coming alone, nor could have Dom or Roscoe or any of us. It's very much a full band production, and that's how a lot of our new songs have been, is that we're no longer solo artists coming together and saying, hey, I got these friends, let's do my song, let's do your song tomorrow, let's do his song later. It's pieces that become a full puzzle, and now we're together as a band, which is a good feeling, because then everyone feels like a full
contributing member
of the band. So I think that was the moment, even though it took 2 years to get there, which is totally fine. It takes time to get there. And I think there's something so wonderful about working so hard on like a specific thing in a song, and then you're on stage and it's crunch time and it's live and you can't do it again and you can't record it. You do nail it live, and it's just like, okay, great. All that time we spent in the basement making each other sort of mad, doing it over and over again has paid off. And we all smile on stage, and it feels really nice.
Yeah, that should be enough. Yeah.